Everybody, we are into Titus Andronicus, Act 3, Scene 1. Things are moving along. The synopsis: Marcius and Quintus are led off to execution. Aaron says their lives can be saved if Titus, Lucius, or Marcus cuts off a hand and sends it as ransom. Titus sends his hand, and a messenger returns with the hand and the heads of Marcius and Quintus. So all of Titus's sons are dead except for Lucius, his last son. Titus vows revenge. So here's where everything gets moving. Titus vows revenge, telling the exiled Lucius to raise an army of Goths to march on Rome. So here we go. Hear me, grave fathers, noble tribunes, stay, for pity of mine age, whose youth was spent in dangerous wars, whilst you securely slept, for all my blood in Rome's great quarrel shed, for all the frosty nights that I have watched, and for these bitter tears, which now you see filling the aged wrinkles in my cheeks. Be pitiful to my condemned sons. Again, we have a entreaty of pity, of mercy here, right? That's going to be denied. Throughout this whole play, there have been Tamora's opening plea of pity that's denied throughout. Whose souls is not corrupted as 'tis thought. For 22 sons I never wept, because they died in honor's lofty bed. That's including the son he slayed, right? That's an odd statement there. The 22 sons, we have the two, and there's Lucius left. And Andronicus kind of it mimics Tamora's early. He lies down, right, like pleading, and the judges pass by him. For these tribunes in the dust I write, my heart's deep languor. Here's melancholy. Here's Titus's abject pain and melancholy here. The earth's dry appetite, my son's sweet blood will make it shame and blush. O earth, I will befriend thee more with rain that shall distill from these two ancient ruins. Then youthful April shall with all his showers in summer drought I'll drop upon thee still. In winter with warm tears I'll melt the snow, and keep eternal springtime on thy face, so thou refuse to drink my dear son's blood. Now here comes Lucius, right? O reverend tribunes, O gentle aged men, unbind my sons, reverse the doom of death, and let me say that never wept before my tears are now prevailing orators. There's more of those tears, right? Tears of pain here, misery. Here's Titus begging for his sons' lives, right? These tears that wash through the play. I think tears are mentioned like 40 plus times in this play. Lucius, it's going to be his last son. O noble father, you lament in vain. The tribunes hear you not. No man is by in your recount your sorrows to a stone. Ah, Lucius, for thy brothers let me plead. Grave tribunes, once more I entreat of you. My gracious lord, no tribunes hear you speak. Titus, this is a great little speech here by Titus. Titus obviously is not as eloquent as Hamlet, right? And Antony, he's the supreme warrior. But this is a great speech here. Why, 'tis no matter, man. If they did hear, they would not mark me. If they did mark, they would not pity me. He knows. It's like Titus knows there's no pity. There's no pity here. This is a land without pity. Yet plead I must, even despite that. And bootless unto them. This is the stone speech where I don't know if this is a moment where a switch might go a little bit in Titus. Therefore I tell my sorrows to the stones, who though they cannot answer my distress, yet in some sort they are better than the tribunes. So actual stones are better than the people, the tribunes, hearing Titus's lament here. For that they will not interrupt my tale. When I do weep, they humbly at my feet receive my tears, and seem to weep with me. These stones receive my tears and weep with me. And were they but attired in grave weeds, solemn apparel, that's what solemn apparel, Rome could afford no tribunes like to these. A stone is soft as wax, tribunes more hard than stones. A stone is silent and offendeth not. and tribunes with their tongue doom men to death. But wherefore standest thou with thy weapon drawn? Lucius, to rescue my brothers from their death, for which attempt the judges have pronounced. My everlasting doom of banishment. So, Saturninus has banished Lucius. O happy man, they have befriended thee. Why, foolish Lucius, dost thou not perceive that Rome is but a wilderness of tigers? That's a famous, this is Rome writ large here. It's a wilderness of tigers. It's flesh for flesh, blood for blood, vengeance for vengeance. Rome is a wilderness of tigers. Tigers must prey, and Rome affords no prey but me and mine. How happy art thou then from these devourers to be banished. But who comes with our brother Marcus here? And here comes Lavinia, right? Here's Titus seeing Lavinia for the first time. Titus, prepare the aged eyes to weep, right? As if not, Titus has been crying. He's been crying in tears through, this is just the last thing, the last straw, right? Will it consume me? Let me see it then. Here comes Lavinia. This was thy daughter, which is such an odd statement, right? Because Lavinia still is Titus's daughter, but physically she's been mutilated and tortured and raped, right? Why Marcus? Yeah, Titus. So she is. Me, this object kills me. Faint-hearted boy, arise and look upon her. Speak, Lavinia. What accursed hand hath made thee handless in their father's sight? What fool hath added water to the sea, or brought a faggot, which is this is a term for brush, sticks, twigs, right? So Lavinia has these branches and twigs where her hands were. To bright burning Troy, my grief was at the height before thou comest, and now like Nilus, the Nile, my grief couldn't get any greater, and now it just overflows. My grief overflows. I am beyond grief. Give me a sword. I'll chop off my hands too, for they have fought for Rome, and all in vain. Everything I've done has all been in vain. All this fighting for Rome, all my life, my sons, it's all in vain. And they have nursed this woe in feeding life, and bootless prayer have they been held up, and they have served me to effectless use. Now all the service I require of them is that the one will help to cut the other. 'Tis well, Lavinia, that thou hast no hands. That's an odd statement. For hands to Rome is service but vain. Titus is turning his back on Rome. Like, everything I've done's been all for naught. All in vain here, right? Lucius, speak, gentle sister, who hath martyred thee? Oh, that delightful engine of her thoughts, the tongue, right, the instrument, that blabbed them with such pleasing eloquence is torn from forth that pretty hollow cage, where like a sweet melodious bird it sung sweet varied notes enchanting every ear. Her tongue was cut out. Oh, say that for her who hath done the deed. Oh, thus I found her straying in the park, seeking to hide herself, as doth a deer that have received some unrecurring wound. Incurable wound. It was, my dear, here's Titus with a play on deer, and he that wounded her hath hurt me more than had he killed me dead. This is beyond anything, right? For now I stand as one upon a rock. And this is an important speech here with Titus, right? If you're going to look at Titus, this is a really important moment. Environed with a wilderness of sea, who marks the waxing tide grow wave by wave, expecting ever when some envious surge will in his brinish bow swallow him. This way to death my wretched sons are gone. Here stands my other son, a banished man, and here my brother weeping at my woes. This is the play, right? This is what all the tragedy and horror that's brought upon. But that which gives my soul the greatest spurn, more than all that, right, is my daughter, dear Lavinia, dearer than my soul. Had I but seen thy picture in this plight, it would have maddened me. What shall I do? Now I behold thy lively body, the living body. Here's your body. Thou hast no hands to wipe away thy tears, nor tongue to tell me who hath martyred thee. Thy husband Bassianus is dead, and for his death thy brothers are condemned, and dead by this, by this time. Look, Marcus, son Lucius, look on her. When I did name her brothers, then fresh tears stood on her cheeks. There's more tears, right? More tears. As doth the honeydew upon a gathered lily almost withered. Shakespeare, even though this is an earlier play, the fact that there's all these tears, this lamenting, shows how horrible this vengeance upon vengeance is. Perchance she weeps because they killed her husband. Perchance because she knows them innocent. Titus, if they did kill thy husband, then be joyful, because the law hath taken revenge on them. No, they would not do so foul a deed. The brothers wouldn't do that, right? The brothers wouldn't do that. My sons wouldn't kill Bassianus. Witness the sorrow that their sister makes. Gentle Lavinia, let me kiss thy lips, or make some sign how I may do thee ease. Shall thy good uncle and thy brother Lucius and thou and I sit around about some fountain, looking all downwards to behold our cheeks, how they are stained? Right? We've cried and cried and cried, stained like meadows, yet not dry with miry slime on them by a flood. And in the fountain shall we gaze so long till the fresh taste be taken from that clearness, and made a brine pit with our bitter tears. There's more tears. Or shall we cut away our hands like thine? Or shall we bite our tongues and in dumb shows pass the remainder of our hateful days? What shall we do? Titus, who's always a man of action, a warrior, he is at a loss. What shall we do? Let us have our tongues plot some device of further misery to make us wondered at in time to come. This is prescient here, right? Plot some device of further misery. We're gonna see Titus. We're gonna get the ultimate revenge here, right? Because there's nothing left really. Sweet father, cease your tears, fret your grief. See how thy wretched sister sobs and weeps. Ah, Marcus, brother, well I wot thy napkin cannot drink a tear of mine, for thou, poor man, hast drowned it with thine own. Ah, my Lavinia, I'll wipe these cheeks. Marcus, I understand her signs. Had she a tongue to speak, now would she say that to her brother which I said to thee. His napkin with his true tears all be wet can do no service on her sorrowful cheeks. Oh, what a sympathy of woe is this. Also a symphony of woe, right? This is a sympathy of woe is this, as from help as limbo is from bliss. Here comes Aaron the Moor. Titus Andronicus, my lord the emperor, sends thee this word, that if thou love thy sons, let Marcus Lucius or thyself, old Titus, or any one of you, chop off your hand and send it to the king. He for the same will send thee hither both thy sons alive, and that shall be the ransom for their fault. Oh, gracious emperor. And Titus is like, oh, great, this is great. We can... Gentle Aaron, did ever raven sing so like a lark, that give us sweet tidings of the sun's surprise? With all my heart I'll send the emperor of my hand. Good Aaron, will thy help to chop it off? And, and here, unlike the other plays we've read, I don't know if there are any moments of comedy or levity or lightness other than this extreme blood violence, right? Which can be a little over the top, right? This is a moment when I was looking at this. So Titus, Lucius, and Marcus are arguing here. I'll chop off my hand. No, I'll chop off my hand. No, I'll chop off my hand. They're arguing who can chop the hand off to send it, right? So it's a horrible moment, but also a kind of some dark humor here. Right here. Stay, father, for that noble hand of thine that hath thrown down so many enemies shall not be sent. My hand will serve. I'll chop off my hand. My youth can better spare my blood than you, and therefore mine shall save my brothers' lives. Which of your hands has not defended Rome and reared aloft the bloody battle axe, writing destruction on the enemy's castle? Oh, none of both but are the high desert. My hand, and Marcus, I'll chop off my hand and send it. So they're arguing on whose hands to chop off and send, to ransom my two nephews from their death, then have I kept it to a worthy end. Aaron's, okay. Whose hand is it going to be, right? Nay, come agree, whose hand shall go along? Hurry it up. I need someone's hand, for fear they die before their pardon come. My hand shall go. By heaven it shall not go. Sir, strive no more. Such withered herbs as these are met for plucking up, and therefore mine. Sweet Father, if I shall be thought thy son, let me redeem my brothers both from death. They're still arguing about whose hand to chop off and send, right? Uh, Marcus, as for our father's sake and mother's care, now let me show a brother's love to thee. Mark, I'll chop off my hand. Agree between you. I will spare my hand. Then I'll go fetch an axe. But I will use the axe. So Lucius and Marcus exit. And Titus, hurries up. Come hither, Aaron. I'll deceive them both. Lend me thy hand, and I will give thee mine. So Aaron, chop off my hand. If that be called deceit, I will be honest, and never whilst I live deceive men so, but I'll deceive you in another sort, and that you'll say, ere half an hour pass. So Aaron cuts off Titus's hand, right? Here comes enter Lucius. Now stay your strife. What shall be is dispatched. Good Aaron, give his majesty my hand. Tell him it was a hand that guarded him from thousand dangers. Bid him bury it. More hath it merited. That let it have. As for my son, say I account of them as jewels purchased at an easy price. It was easy cutting off this hand for my sons, and yet dear too, because I bought mine own. I go, Andronicus, and for thy hand look by and by to have thy sons with thee. And he Aaron, their heads, Aaron already knows this is a trick. The sons are dead, and he's going to bring Titus the heads of his sons. Oh, how this villainy doth fat me with the very thoughts of it. Let fools do good and fair men call for grace. Aaron will have his soul black like his face, right? So here's Aaron's villainy. Titus think he's going to get his sons back. He cut off his hand for nothing, right? Oh, here I lift this one hand up to heaven and bow this feeble ruin to the earth. If any powers pities wretched ears to what I call, Lavinia, what wouldst thou kneel with me? Do thou, dear heart, for heaven shall hear our prayers, or with our sighs we'll breathe the welcome dim, and stain the sun with fog, as sometimes clouds when they do hug him in their melting bosoms. We'll becloud the heavens with our breath, right? Our lament, our sorrow. O brother, speak with possibility, do not break into these deep extremes. Is not my sorrow deep, having no bottom? Then be my passions bottomless with them. But yet let reason govern their lament. If there were reason for these miseries, this is a great, Titus has some great, this is a powerful act, 3:1, with some powerful speeches by Titus here. Then into limits could I bind my woes. When heaven doth weep, doth not the earth overflow? If the winds rage, doth not the sea wax mad, threatening to welcome with his big swollen face? And wilt thou have a reason for this coil? I am the sea. I like this, Titus here. I am the sea. Hark how her sighs doth flow. She is the weeping welcome, I the earth. Then must my sea be moved with her sighs. Then must my earth with her continual tears become a deluge, overflowed and drowned. For why my bowels cannot hide her woes, but like a drunkard must I vomit them. Then give me leave, for losers will have leave to ease their stomachs with their bitter tongues. And here comes the messenger. That was quick. His son's heads and Titus's hand. He's bringing Titus's hands back to him. It's like double insult. Worthy Andronicus, ill art thou repaid for that good hand that sentenced the emperor. Here are the heads of thy two noble sons, and here's thy hand in scorn to thee sent back. Thy grief their sports, thy resolution mocked, that woe is me to think upon thy woes more than remembrance of my father's death. Damn. So here's Titus, who just cut off his hand. The hands get sent back, and the two sons, right? So, and they couldn't believe it, right? And this is beyond. And here's the moment in Act 3, Scene 1, when Titus is like, hell no, right? We're gonna kind of plot our revenge, and it's gonna be blood upon blood here. Now let hot Etna cool in Sicily, and be my heart an ever-burning hell. Marcus, the brother. These miseries are more than may be borne. To weep with them that weep doth ease some deal, but sorrow flouted in its double death. Ah, that this sight should make so deep a wound, and yet detested life not shrink. Threat, that ever death should let life bear his name, where life had no more interest but to breathe. And Lavinia kisses Titus, with her tongueless mouth. She kisses Titus to try and help him in some way. Alas, poor heart, that kiss is comfortless as frozen water to a starved snake. Titus, when will this fearful slumber have an end? When will this nightmare life, this existence end? This is just hell, right? No, now farewell flattery, die Andronicus, thou dost not slumber. This is real life. See thy two sons' heads, thy warlike hand, thy mangled daughter here. This is just horror upon horror, right? Titus is just horror upon horror. Struck pale and bloodless, and thy brother, I, even like a stony image, cold and numb. I, now no more will I control thy griefs, rend off thy silver hair. This is an important moment, right? Rend off thy silver hair, thy other hand, gnawing with thy teeth, and be this dismal sight the closing up of our most wretched eyes. Now is the time to storm. Why art thou still? So Marcus, now is the time to rage, and now it's revenge time. Titus, and this is a trope, obviously, in the Shakespeare plays and what we're seeing. Of any characters to go mad, Titus would go mad here, right? Is he faking this madness? It seems like he is, though. But this Titus, he's laughing, ha ha ha. This bonkers laughter here. Why? And Marcus, his brother, why are you laughing? It fits not with this hour. Why, I have not another tear to shed. Besides, this sorrow is an enemy, and of all the tears, Titus, and there's a switch here. Here is Titus's switch. This ha ha ha, this laughter that's going to engender this extreme revenge, and would usurp upon. And here's Titus' revenge. This is Titus's revenge speech. Why? I would usurp upon my watery eyes and make them blind with tributary tears. Then which way shall I find revenge's cave? I'm going to crawl in revenge's cave. And this is what's going to happen. For these two heads do seem to speak to me, and threat me I shall never come to bliss till all these mischiefs be returned again, even in their throats that hath committed them. Come, let me see what task I have to do. All right, let me see what I gotta do and plan here, that I may turn me to each one of you and swear unto my soul to right your wrongs. Now it's my job and mission in life to right these wrongs. The vow is made right here. Come, brother, take a head. Take one of my son's heads, and in this hand the other I will bear. And Lavinia, thou shalt be employed in these arms. Bear my hand, sweet, between thy teeth. Lavinia, and Lavinia takes Titus's hand in her mouth. So Titus and Marcus are carrying the head of the son. Lavinia has Titus's hand in her mouth. As for thee, boy Lucius, go, get from thy sight. Thou art in exile, and thou must not stay. Hie to the Goths. I want you to rally up some Goths and raise an army there. And if you love me, as I think you do, let's kiss and part, for we have much to do. And here's a Lucius soliloquy here, right? After all this horror. But here's Titus's revenge speech. That's Titus vowing revenge. Farewell, Andronicus, my noble father, the woefulest man that ever lived in Rome. Right? That's the play writ large here. The woefulest man that ever lived in Rome. Farewell, proud Rome, till Lucius come again. He loves his pledges dearer than his life. Farewell, Lavinia, my noble sister. O would thou wert as thou too hast been. But now nor Lucius nor Lavinia lives, but in oblivion and hateful griefs. If Lucius live, he will requite your wrongs, and make proud Saturnine and his empress beg at the gates like Tarquin and his queen. Now will I to the Goths, and raise a power to be revenged on Rome and Saturnine. So that's the revenge speech by Titus, and all the horrors here. Titus discovers Lavinia. He cuts off his hand. His sons' heads are brought to him. It's just carnage, blood, but Titus is vowing revenge in this speech right here.